Hey guys, welcome back to 𝐸𝐿𝐿, the cooking channel that's not so useless. In this video, we'll be cooking up a hearty Chinese style chicken drumstick soup. It's a nice and simple soup you can make if you know you're too busy to cook the next day. It's heartwarming, flavorful, and something you want to warm your belly up with on a cold winter's night. And it's chock full of delicious and tender ingredients like chicken drumsticks, carrots, and even shiitake mushrooms. And to make this dish, you only need to do two key things: parboil the chicken drumsticks and cook the soup. For the ingredients, you'll need chicken drumsticks, dried dates, cooking wine, boiling water, shiitake mushrooms, salt, peanuts, carrots, ginger, and spring onion. For the quantities, you'll need 1.8 kilograms of chicken drumsticks, 4 slices of ginger for parboiling and another 4 slices for the soup, 2 spring onions, 1 tablespoon of cooking wine, 100 grams of peanuts, 250 grams of shiitake mushrooms, 5 large carrots, 3 dried dates, 1.5 teaspoons of salt and an extra 1 tablespoon to clean the chicken, and around 2.8 liters of boiling water. But before we begin, if you do enjoy this video, do consider subscribing, as it does help the channel out. So starting off, we'll want to wash the chicken drumsticks. But before going straight to the water, sometimes your chicken drumsticks may have an unpleasant smell to them. And to get rid of that smell, we'll be rubbing in about 1 tablespoon of salt. Once you've rubbed in the salt, give the drumsticks a good wash until the water is a lot less murky. And for us, we wash them about 4 times. Then give the drumsticks a quick inspection. If you see any hard skin, bruises, or feathers, be sure to peel or cut them off. Once that's done, transfer the drumsticks to a pot and submerge them in water. Now, don't be like us. We used a pot that was way too small for the number of drumsticks we had. Make sure you use a pot big enough to submerge them without running the risk of any water boiling out of the pot. Then quickly with our ginger, peel the skin off and cut the ginger slices, both for parboiling now and for when cooking the soup later. With the spring onions, crush the end stems for more flavor. And then portion. And then once you've measured out the cooking wine, move on to parboiling. At your stove, turn the heat on low and add in the ginger slices, cooking wine, and spring onions. And let the chicken drumsticks parboil until they are no longer translucent pink and leak any blood. And again, because our pot was too small, we had to reposition the drumsticks to ensure that they were parboiling properly. And for us, the drumsticks finished parboiling about half an hour later. Again, the meat should no longer be translucent pink, and you can see that the blood and impurities have been extracted from the chicken. So take the drumsticks out and wash off the impurities. Now, before we begin making the soup, if you haven't already, then be sure to watch our rehydrating dried shiitake mushrooms video, such that they're available for use whenever you need them. To make the soup, we like to soak the peanuts the night before to help soften them and allow them to release their flavor more easily into the soup. So give them a quick wash. Before soaking them overnight. Moving on to the next day, give the dried dates a quick wash and let them soak for about 15 minutes. With the carrots, top and tail, peel, and chop into large pieces. If too small, they'll end up dissolving into the soup. Next, measure out the shiitake mushrooms, and for us, we're going to add in some leftover mushroom stems. And finally, begin boiling a lot of water. Now, just to make this absolutely clear before we move on, you want to make sure you start cooking up the soup around 30 minutes before the chicken drumsticks have finished parboiling. This helps give the other ingredients a head start, but it will ensure that the drumsticks remain intact by the end of the cooking process. So in a big pot, add in all of the ingredients except for the chicken drumsticks and the salt. And if you want, you can substitute some of that water with the mushroom stock from our rehydrating video. Then turn the heat up high and let the soup cook for half an hour. After half an hour, add in the chicken drumsticks. And if you need to stir the contents of the pot, be sure to do so gently to keep the drumsticks intact. Then put the lid on and wait for the soup to boil. And you'll know when the soup is boiling when you can see lots of steam as well as the consistent shaking of the lid. Then turn the heat down to a medium-low and continue cooking for 1 hour. 1 hour later, the soup is pretty much done. All we need to do now is season to taste. For us, we added in about 1.5 teaspoons of salt. And again, as a reminder, be sure to gently stir the contents of the pot after you add the salt. After stirring, have a quick taste and adjust the seasoning further if needed. And with that, your chicken drumstick soup is done. Pour the soup and all of its goodies into a bowl. And enjoy yourself a warm and hearty meal. Now, if you find that the soup is too oily, then you can remove some of that oil using a defatter jug. But in my opinion, the oil pairs quite nicely with a bowl of rice. So guys, that was my family's recipe for chicken drumstick soup. I hope you all enjoyed this video. And if you ever get the chance to make this at home, be sure to tell us how it goes. And if you want to see any of our future videos, be sure to subscribe. See ya.